This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
So checking out Tony's question here, Tony Flowers. Kurt, do you think your lack of pro wrestling fandom was beneficial to you, or was it a hindrance? You mentioned you watched a lot of old wrestling when you joined WWE. Did this help you in any tangible way, like promos or psychology? I think that's an awesome question.
It is an awesome question. I didn't know anything about pro wrestling when I joined. As a matter of fact, in 1996, I had no clue. I thought that the business was about fighting for yourself, politicking for yourself, and you should never lose. You should always win. I didn't understand about putting each other over, and so I had to learn that, and I also had to learn the psychology. Watching matches, seeing how they structured them. Watching Bret Hart wrestle, Kurt Hennig, Macho Man Randy Savage. These were matches that I watched religiously because I had a lot of catching up to do. When I started in 1998, I never watched pro wrestling. I wasn't a fan. I was told not to watch it because I was an amateur wrestler. So it was a very big adjustment, but I'm a student of the game. When I get into something and I focus on it, I do extremely well at that. I excel. And I knew if I studied this properly, I would do really well too. So I put my heart and soul into it and studied tapes and got in the ring and, worked on my technique and on my psychology. The only thing I didn't work on, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, are the promos. No one ever really taught me how to do it. I didn't teach myself. I was basically thrown in the fire when I started. As far as cutting promos and doing pre-tapes, I didn't know how I would do. I thought that Vince McMahon at the beginning was going to utilize me as a wrestler only, maybe be on Main Event every week instead of Raw or SmackDown. I didn't know. I kept my limit. I kept my expectations low because back then they didn't have a lot of training camps. I went to the Dory Funk Dojo 3 times for 5 days each, and that was about it. Now they have NXT. These guys are getting the best of the training and trainers, people that are teaching them every aspect of sports entertainment. I didn't have that luxury, so I had to learn on the fly.
You said a lot of great things there, and to borrow one of my brethren's quotes, I want to unpack that a little bit. So you said that promo work was not something that was part of your game at all when you came in. And I think if you watch your career unfold, that's evident that you slowly learned it on the fly. Was there anyone that it was recommended you go out and watch and try to learn from their promo style at all?
Well, I started watching the top guys, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, trying to parlay my style more toward theirs. Even though my character was a lot different than theirs, I wanted to make sure my promo style was, identical to theirs. So, I just watched the best of the best and learned from them.
I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast, we make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket, so what are you waiting for? Hurry to SaveWithConrad.com.
So you said that you had never watched anything because you were explicitly told don't watch it. Is there anyone backstage in particular that you can think of that said, hey, Kurt, you should go watch Owen Hart matches. You should go watch Bret Hart. You should go watch Randy Savage.
Oh, yeah. Jerry Briscoe, Pat Patterson, Johnny Laurinaitis. They all told me, get to work, start studying and you're going to educate yourself. And, they gave me a lot of advice too. So I couldn't complain about that. Those guys were always there for me, and they did a tremendous job of teaching me.
It's really cool that we got this question in the batch because I've actually thought about it a lot, and I work on the independent scene, and I was talking about this with a wrestler that I've worked with, a women's wrestler who just cracked the PWI top 150. And she did not start watching wrestling until 2018 when she happened to be watching a WrestleMania match that involved Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Ronda Rousey, and Kurt Angle. And that was her first match that she ever watched. And now she's one of the top wrestlers on the independent scene. Do you feel that it's beneficial to come in with a cold slate at all? Or do you think it is required that you should have some background knowledge at this point?
I really think you need background knowledge. I think growing up as a fan gives you a head start. Not watching it or not knowing anything about it, it's going to take you a little bit more time to adjust. But some people just have it and some people don't have it. And I think that this young lady has it and I had it, and we were very fortunate.
She's great. And much like your younger self, it's just taking it to water. And I think that's really, really cool. Let's move on now to top guy, Mike Whitaker. Kurt, my 11-year-old is trying out for the middle school wrestling team.
Let my family save your family some cash. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket, but we will save you money. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how much. SaveWithConrad.com.
Do you have any pointers I can tell him? He's a smaller sized kid. P.S. At first, he did think of WWE wrestling. Then I showed him your match from the Olympics, and now he's all in.
I would say be patient. If he's starting out in junior high, 7th grade or 6th grade or whatever, for the most part, he's behind the 8 ball. A lot of these kids start in elementary school and they get more experience. But I started in middle school too, and I took my lumps, but I never gave up. And I continued to train and I continued to work hard and I continued to compete in matches. And eventually I started winning. And then it became in where I was never losing anymore. So what I'm saying is he needs to be very patient, because he's going to take his lumps. And it's a brutal sport. It's really tough. And wrestling and losing, it's a big adjustment because you lose confidence when you lose. And the thing is, I didn't do that. When I got beat, I wanted to figure out every way possible of how, if I wrestled this kid again, how I would beat him. So I was always thinking of different ways to improve myself so that when I wrestled the person again, I would end up beating them. A good game plan, tactics, working on technique. So you just have to be patient. He needs to be patient and know he's going to take his lumps, and eventually the winning will start occurring.
Do you find that a lot of young kids hear wrestling and they think it's WWE, but then they're in for a little bit of a shock when they get in the midst of it?
Yeah. But you know what? A lot of them, even though they're a little bit disappointed at first, they actually think that amateur wrestling is pretty cool. So, I do agree to a certain extent that, kids are going to, think WWE, and when they get to amateur wrestling, they're going to be disappointed, but for the most part, most kids really like the physicality of amateur wrestling. So they think it's pretty cool. And, when you're an amateur wrestler, you're a badass. And, that because anybody that gets into wrestling knows it's the toughest sport in the world.
I wish I heard that advice when I was in middle school, because I did one day of amateur wrestling and that was it. So
that was it. No
I wish I heard the Kurt Angle advice at that point. I was too busy watching him on TV and wanting to beat him instead. So that was that.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.